Now,
Okay,
now I'm following you.
I started a discussion. I mean the recording. Anyway, so
Where
another
that
way
would
this
be
could,
open instead of Amazon like locking it down, and they're the only provider to upcharge
like
for
another
qualifications. This
implementation
would
I
be,
see of this is so like on EOS, I've noticed a lot of work like groups of people, right? Like there's the bees, there's a lot of like language specific groups, and like one way I could see it happening is they could do like a qualifier, like basically I don't know if what the best way to call it would be, but like a kind of like a protectionist type of thing, where like groups want to have create tasks, but for people only they know, right? Like a way to like reward like people participating in a group, and then so they create a qualification specific to their group, and so if you use that qualification, like the group itself can focus on doing it. Like it's kind of like if you have a manager and you have a bunch of workers, you know, and so the manager gets like a small little fraction, the worker gets most of the EFX, but the kind of like the manager has the incentive to make sure the workforce is there.
yeah,
Indeed,
yeah.
I I actually slowly but surely, like, I'm really starting to like this idea of how then the people who manage the qualifications will also help maintain a certain quality. It becomes their responsibility, and they also get paid then for handling this responsibility. And then you could have competing qualifications where the better ones bubble up, depending on how a certain manager is able to maintain a high quality of the work that is being done by the people who have their qualifications.
Yeah, we sort of had a version of that with Kraft Heinz because oh my, was that a lot of work? Um, just maintaining the qualifier tests, awarding the qualifications, monitoring how people were working, taking them off of the work, by removing their qualifications and then identifying like really high performers and giving them a higher level one, and then those were validators and stuff. Miguel was all through that with me, um, because he was one of the three top Portuguese translators with that whole giant project. But it's a lot of work managing a workforce like that.
Exactly, and that's why I think we need like, and right now that's not really being incentivized, the whole management. Like the workers
Oh, I
get
kind
paid.
of I
The work
started kind of a mini pilot with that, testing some things around, and I did it with the DAO, but nobody wanted to participate, and I was having the DAO workers or the DAO guardians being the only people who had this validation qualification, and then I would have them validate um, some image tasks, but like nobody really did anything with that. But that was me trying to incentivize the DAO um, guardians to be able to be validators, to check the general workforce's work, like a tiny subgroup. It was part of my research and development of like the bigger um, workforce management stuff that I have planned for when this gets going.
Yeah, I think I missed the start, but I really like the topic. I also, of course, I read the Discord message, and this is a topic we've talked about like over the years. It came up a couple of times that the qualifications are one of the most important, valuable parts for the network. I think if to get requesters on board, we need to guarantee skill sets for workers, and they don't have the time or energy, or like it's way too difficult to curate. But because it's yeah, that you should get rewarded, right? You should get it incentivized for maintaining qualifications. So it's actually, I think, a thing where there should be a business model or like an incentivization model around it. And this kind of last time we talked about it was quite a long time ago, and we always like sort of went back and forth. So this idea has been maturing for a while. But when you wrote it in Discord and how you described it just now, I think it's exactly how it should be. So there's a few ideas, right? I don't know what's the best one out of those, but I think that's definitely the scope and exactly how we should structure it. I think it should be also an internal to effect networks architecture. So it should be like one of these core elements. And yeah, so about importance, I think this is exactly something we need, and I think now is exactly the time to add something like that, because it's like a feature that we're ready for adding, because we have basically things in place. We need to optimize a lot about the smart contract still, but we have everything in place to start embedding something like this. And just to throw out my thought on how that would work, because I have thought about it. Also, after DJ posted it, I was considering some of the options for how can you get rewarded for people using your qualification. And I was thinking it would be maybe nicest to just have like a fixed fee on each qualification. And that's basically a fee you get paid for every task done. And that's sort of one, like there's so many ways to do it, right? This is the one I'm starting to feel really towards, because it means you can just say, hey, I created this qualification. It's for Dutch English translation, because I'm good at it, and I curated a workforce and trained them, and they have this qualification. And if you want to use it, you have to pay, for example, 5 EFX per task. And it could be embedded in that qualification. So every qualification would have like an embedded fee, and it means that when you create a campaign and you select the qualifications, you basically, like it's like a shopping cart or something, right? You're basically adding fees on top. So you're paying the worker maybe 50 EFX, and then there's going to be the Dutch qualification, which is 5 EFX. Maybe there's going to be like a qualification for high, like being, I don't know, like crypto savvy or something. If it's like translations about cryptocurrency, so someone crypto savvy, maybe it's a 1 EFX qualification or something. So that means that 6 get added, 6 EFX get added for the 2 qualifications. Then there's the maybe 50 going to the worker, and then there is a 10% still going to the DAO, which is a percentage wise. To me, that made sense when I thought about it, because if you do percentage wise, you could have like people trying to put the rewards at 0 and then distribute rewards themselves, so they sort of get around that. Or if like the tasks are really expensive, then there would be like a massive fee. And also, if you would do a lot of qualifications on one campaign, you would get an issue where it's over, where you can get more than 50% or 60% of the of the task reward, which would also be a problem. Anyways, that was my sort of thoughts on it. But yeah, excellent topic.
Yeah, I was gonna say that to be fair on the percentage thing, like if it's too low, workers just won't do it.
Right, but say the I have a Dutch qualification, it takes 10%, and then there is the.
Well, would you be able to do a minimum?
Yeah.
Because the only reason I suggest percentage is because sometimes EFX can be volatile, so what you intend.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because you can assume that the task rewards will correlate with the EFX price fluctuation, and this would ensure that. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about the fluctuation of the price, which means you would have to sort of have dynamic pricing in your qualifiers, which might not be ideal. Or you would expect maybe qualification holders or qualification maintainers to sort of adjust prices, but that's.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah, maybe it should just be expected for them to adjust their prices. I'm not sure. Yeah, I feel like I don't think I'd be too worried about just people trying to abuse it by setting their tasks reward too low, because I kind of just trust the workers to not do the tasks if they're not worth it. So I don't think percentage would be too much an issue, but maybe you could also add like some sort of allow people to use some logic or something, like either percentage or at minimum this amount, something like that. I don't know.
One thing.
Yeah, percentage might work. I was just thinking if I have a really expensive one or something, and I just use I just want to add a qualification, and it could get we have to think maybe about the scenarios that happen, right? Maybe it's not a scenario that I would have, but if I would have like a massive one, like subtitle a movie or something, and then, but maybe it makes sense. Yeah, I'm like the percentage wise could work if
No,
we
I guess, yeah,
structure it
maybe it
nice
is a
and we make
flat fee.
sure, yeah, it makes sense in the
Well,
logic wise.
well, you convinced me now that maybe a flat fee is better.
Yeah, I have an internal dialogue. I think both both sides have ups and pros and cons, but I think either of those is really nice way to do it. Just per task, have a fee, and you could sort of see in your when creating the batch, you can sort of see how much would be how much would go to you would be paying to the qualification maintainers. I think that's an excellent setup. And qualifications, there could be like there would be like a shop of qualifications, right? A qualification would have a little description and maybe a pitch about how do we maintain the quality for it. So you convince people to use it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's I mean, basically when I did my stable diffusion thing, I kind of just put it on hold when I got involved into setting up the qualifications, because I feel like the whole system can be improved. And yeah, like kind of a market where you can see the qualifiers and you can see their pitches, maybe see how many workers are on there, have this like how many tasks have been completed with it, stuff like that. So that way you can like just shop around and kind of the workforce part can be done for you already. You don't have to like get people to like do your qualification, like, because I think that's also the ideal, because for example, like some of these qualifications can be pretty thorough, right? And so even if there's some tasks there, some workers may give up and stuff like that. And so if every requester has their own qualifications, maybe that will discourage people. So yeah, I think that just like a shop for qualifications is a good idea.
One thing you mentioned with, well, what if it costs so much to have all these quals that people put the task payout low, to circumvent? And on another platform that was happening, and what requesters were doing was they were having the tasks be a penny, and then they would say, a correctly done task, you'll get a bonus of whatever for each task. And then when the batch was done, the requester would validate, and then tally what bonuses to give to what workers, and then they would bonus them. Well, the platform wised up to that, and instead of taking away the bonus structure, they started charging requesters a percentage on top of the bonus they were paying out to like recoup it. So that's also one thing we got to keep in mind too. If we do want a bonus system for requesters to bonus good workers, which I think is nice, we also have to implement something like that in place as well, just to head off the fee avoidance.
Yeah, that would be useful too, because with the stable diffusion tasks, like I ended up doing it just like that. I had like a competition where I kept the payment low, but then I would look at the images, and the best one I would send like a bonus of VFX manually, and it would be nice to be able to do that through the system.
Yeah, for sure. We could add. That's a good one. We'll make a note. That would be nice to add a bonus. We need the validation, but we could like already have that where you just send some EFX. We can do like, just a tip type of thing.
Yeah, but we should tax the tip and that go to the DAO with the network fees.
Or it could be like a randomized controlled trial where you would send 10% or 5% of the tasks being done, and the one who's managing the qualification, part of their job in order to recoup then the fee is then to actually validate the tasks that have been submitted.
I don't know, because if say I'm using your qualification, David, to do my stuff and my data sets, you don't have knowledge about my project. You would have to, I don't know, I guess learn all about it, learn what I'm looking for and stuff to be able to validate it correctly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I'm assigning that qualification, so I should have some domain knowledge about the qualification, and I should be able to at least verify that the work that you submitted isn't scammy, for example.
Scammy, yes, but like say you make a qualification for like French language because you're a French speaker, but like with translations, something can be right, but it can also be wrong, you know? I don't know.
Oh, that reminds me, you also have basically something called an anti-qualification. What I call it is when you basically flag workers who do bad work.
Yeah, and we call it exclude, but yeah.
And
You
yeah,
can
so
also
that too can also be something that, for example, like if we have this incentivization, what's stopping, like people just doing that? Like they kind of like if there would be a way for people to review like tasks and then flag people and then offer the exclude option that works the same way where you have to pay extra for that exclude qualification or the inversion really, and then that way there's like an incentive for people to look for bad work.
That taken to an extreme can also lead to undesired behavior.
yeah, yeah. My thinking is that part of the platform there should be a way for requesters to report bad workers, and then that's where the DAO part of the workforce or the platform management team goes and reviews, tasks a worker has done or and stuff, and democratically decides if a worker should be taken off the platform or not, that kind of thing. That's because as a worker, I don't want anyone just being able to take my qualification off completely if I bomb one requester's group of tasks, but say a different requester group of tasks takes the same qualification and I can do well on theirs because their work is a little bit different than requester A, but requester A and B both use the same qualification on their batches. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
So how would it work with like the you call them anti-qualifications, but like the qualifications for like to disallow, like how do we the rejected, we call them reject qualifications. That's a bit of a weird concept maybe, because if you have a qualification like professional translator, right, and you have a fee on it, and it has like a page, and you're trying to sell it, or you're trying to have people use it because you receive also rewards for it, then I don't think there should be like another qualification that's like rejected from professional translator French. I think it would be like you just don't have it, right? So we should be able to remove that qualification from someone, and they won't have it.
I think it should
Before
be
we
like
had it, of course, mainly for being able to reject people from a specific campaign. So it's a bit of a different. These type of qualifications are more sort of like this personal one these are the ones that actually I think the requester wants to maintain themselves because they're not generic, maybe, and they're like, I don't want this specific worker in my campaign because he like messed up, or he doesn't hit the bill, or he doesn't like read the instructions, or he doesn't fit the right vibe or something. You should be able to, I think, do that. And there is the global one, right, where someone is just doing bad in general, and we want like, and those are sort of the ones you do want to have more broadly, where it's like Rochelle said, where report workers are multiple times reported or something, and we have like some DAO managed, appointed people to go over it, moderate it, and then you should be able to end up on like the blacklist of the platform.
Yeah,
I think.
I think exclusion or block list ones, they should be just available to a requester to personally add on their own campaigns for specific workers that they don't like. And then report the worker. And then I think a global one, yeah, that needs to be decided by like DAO validators.
So there should be definitely a free, like I think a free qualification, like blocked workers, right, or banned workers, and that should just be a default on the campaign, I think, and that's managed by probably by the DAO. Maybe some people are appointed to be able to hand out its qualification, and that's managed by those who are appointed perhaps by the DAO. I think that's something we could think about because the DAO is getting the 10% fee. So I think it fits maybe within that sort of responsibility scope to maintain these base quality things, or we have a fee on it could as well be an option, but like a reward on that qualification. But I think that it fits in that scope and in that structure.
We can add some nuance to it where we can kind of create a warning NFT where the user then gets every time they get a warning, they get a new NFT, and so like when they get 5 warnings, then they're completely banned. But then each campaign can kind of regulate for themselves. Okay, yeah, I'm willing to accept workers that only have 1 warning strike NFT, and that way is also a little bit more simple of regulating like how, or a new way of thinking about how we can at least give warnings to users.
I like that. Yeah, that's a great concept. Maybe I think that would only work if they can, if the qualification, you call them NFTs, which is cool because we've thought about making them NFTs, but if they're like if the qualifications would expire, that would really work, right? So if you get like they expire, if your warnings expire, then at some point maybe if you hold 5 warnings, you can do nothing, but the warnings do expire after some time. And maybe if you have 5, you get like completely banned, which is maybe a different qualification where that lasts even longer. So yeah, that's a good concept.
Do you think?
And if they're NFTs, that would be really cool, but that's maybe a different topic.
Another thing, this is kind of like on something different, but worker metrics, like for example, how many tasks they completed.
To provide them to requesters, or
like basically have an option where you can say I want any worker, or I want like say somewhat experienced workers, something like that.
Right, yeah, that's also important. Yeah, that's an important one too. There's 2 ways to do it, I guess. You can either have like reward someone a qualification after performing X amount of work, or you would need to sort of track a worker's total completion of tasks in a global level. And that we could use as like a filter metric, but yeah, it's a different, like we talked about this also in the past. Like it's normally we handed out like qualifications when people were really doing a lot of work, but it would be nice if that's just statistical calculated, like from the just from the platform metrics, automatically calculated number to filter on. I guess that's what you're referring to more.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think in theory it should be automatic because all the tasks are on the blockchain, at least the record of them being completed.
What we did encounter before is the complexity is a little bit, you could like track how much someone did in total, but then there would be a big difference. Like someone would be really maybe good enough for doing selfie, no selfie, but then he would have done a lot of tasks there. But then when it came to translations, there would be such a different like skill set that a lot of, we had like this super worker flag where we gave a lot of workers that did pretty well that flag, but then it basically didn't make sense for any translations anymore because they were just really not the same skill set. So we would sort of need to group how much you did in a category or in a maybe in a qualification or something. That would be cool if you track how many tasks someone did within a qualification,
Yeah,
like
that would be good.
professional French, and then that would be like you could have like a score on it, something like that.
Yeah, I think if you could tie it to qualification, that would be real good. The main reason I'm talking about it is with Binance Smart Chain, it's very easy just to make a new account, right? So like the only barrier would be doing all the qualifications over again, right? But if someone's determined, if they get blacklisted, they could just generate a new account, right? And complete the qualifications again. And so that would be only a small delay. But if they have to have new tasks, like if there's like a minimum amount of tasks as well, that like they represent activity, right? So really the main difference is, do you have a worker who has zero activity, like completely fresh, or do you have a worker who has some activity? And maybe age as well? I don't know.
But we could maybe track it for each qualification. We could track for each worker how many tasks they did. And that could be like a metric in the platform. That's a really cool idea as well. I would write this, yeah, making a note, but that could work, right? Because if a qualification is well defined and there's not going to be like every requester makes its own qualification, but if there is more like generally maintained ones, which I feel is the direction we should take. And yeah, that was how we started the discussion to have more of that type. Then it makes a lot of sense because you could really identify who's done a lot of work within each of those and filter. So I think that, yeah, again, really good point for that. Yeah, let's I'll write it down and let's see if that, I think that would work well. It's different from a qualification because it's really like how much did you work in under specific qualification campaigns.
Yeah, I wonder like then if when people select qualification, they could kind of have like a slider based on how strict they want it. Like, do they want like do they care if anyone has completed the tasks, or do they want some tasks completed? Stuff like that, I guess. And it'll be useful to see those metrics because you don't want to, make it so 0% of workers can do your tasks, right?
Yeah, exactly. It could maybe even help you create like if you want to have like, because we every time we did a serious campaign, we ended up with this structure of we do the normal campaign and then the validation campaign, which is like a subset. So you could almost have like that automatically divided where you have like the validation part, sort of that the platform puts the right workers in the right groups, like by how many tests they did, something like that. Needs a bit of thought, but I like the idea of it. And how do you guys feel about making qualifications NFTs? Because I've been digging more and more into the atomic assets. They've been around for a long time, but they're not being used too much except for on Pomelo, I feel. But I really like they work pretty well, and we have them now as avatars in the DAO really soon. But I think it might make sense to have qualifications be non-transferable NFTs in like they almost are, right? Except that we keep them, like we keep track of them ourselves in our own EOS tables instead of on atomic assets. But if they're NFTs, then you could actually filter as well on. You could have also normal NFTs as qualifications, which might be cool. I think that's the main added value, that you can have like overlap between. Like you can say, I want only people with a Pomelo astronaut, for example, in a campaign, or I want only people that have these. I don't know. I don't know if, for example, EOS Bees has an NFT or something, but you could filter on stuff like that, which might be interesting.
That's how this whole
Especially
discussion got started in the first place, that we ended up talking about qualifications. And so I think
cool. Sorry, I missed the
most
start.
of us, yeah, no worries. I think most of us are on board with that idea. I was a little bit on the fence about it, but more and more I'm thinking about it. I also think it's a good idea. Working with the Atomic Hub SDK as well, it's been really pleasant, and I think it'll help optimize certain parts of the platform, especially with retrieving data.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Yeah, if it's so if it's a soul-bound NFT, like, is it not deletable?
I did see that some of them are non-transferable, so that's definitely a property that we can use, and some of them are also burnable. So that's another way of how we can kind of assign an NFT to somebody and take it away later on, for example.
Because I was thinking, like, with the metrics, I wonder if you could write to the NFT, like, how much tasks the worker completed for that specific qualification.
I was wondering exactly the same. I'm not sure if you can how much you can do. We should. I think there's quite a bit in atomic assets. Like you can have like notifications on transfer, and you can have all kinds of functionality. I think you can definitely make soulbound ones. But I'm more familiar with NFTs on like the Ethereum compatible NFTs, and there you have some standards. But that's because every NFT deploys its own contract, so you have a lot of like flexibility in it. And with atomic assets, it's all within their contract. But I wonder if like we can make NFT attributes writable by the NFT collection owner. That would be great, because then what DJ said, we could have like keep track of the tasks done within the NFT. And also to take away NFTs, it would need to be burnable by the collection owner, which I know in the Ethereum side of things, there is some like extensions that allow it. But then for atomic assets, we would need to figure out how much of that is possible.
Well, even if you can't burn it, you can probably just create a new NFT that kind of cancels out the old qualifications. So I'm sure there's a workaround.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that could always work to have like the blocking version that cancels out the original. Yeah.
They do have pretty extensive documentation, so I'll take a look and see if I can come up with an answer. But yeah, in the meanwhile as well, like we've been talking about NFTs. We've also been working on the proposals. Those are using NFTs then in order to set the profile picture. And at the moment, we whitelisted the Pomelo ones and the Dot Gems ones. But yeah.
You should also make your own collection, so you can make my avatar one of them.
Yeah, that would be great. I love the idea that Effect will also make a collection, its own collection. How would we go about that?
You mean to have a DAO collection, right? For the Effect DAO, and like a collection of NFTs.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, like for me, it's just so I can have my profile pic right now on the DAO. But I imagine the same could apply for other DAO members like you. You could have your own, your own selfie as your profile picture.
Yeah, your profile picture is awesome, dude. How did you create it? Is it private or like is it generated or is it art?
I mean, you could literally do it through their interface on their website. Like I have my own collection I made just to like test things, but
I mean, your avatar that you have here on Discord is is an NFT, right? Or
oh well, technically, yeah. It's kind of funny. Like I think it's like it's AI generated like 2 years ago by this obscure Binance Smart Chain tool that generates NFTs, and I think it like went defunct. So I don't even know what happened to it, but yeah, that's the source of my image. And so yeah, like it was an NFT, and then it's a unique image, and then eventually I put it on Atomic Hub just to test it. But yeah.
okay, cool. But we should think about I think we should do an official NFT collection and maybe even DAO membership. Like every DAO member should be able to mint one of those. We can maybe even somehow try to have it represent DAO membership, though I'm not sure if
Well,
I was thinking about how to link it up with the staking stuff, but maybe it's doable.
At the very least, we can have special like participation NFTs, for people who like vote every cycle. You have like some special graphic. And then I guess maybe like the high guards, because they're like, they're the high guards, they can just choose what image to upload, and that can be their profile picture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that I'm totally for. I think it's time. We need to think of a really cool art style. AI generated could be really cool, or something like the effect pieces, like crowd art, could be cool.
I know it's kind of a very like on hold thread, but I remember talking with Bree about creating those stickers, and I think the conversation kind of ended, but the what was it called there, the dot what was it, dot gems. Yeah. So dot gems probably has artistic capabilities, they could help.
Yeah, they sounded very motivated in the beginning. I also think that conversation ended. But yeah, it would be great to get them on board and actually like do a project with them.
Yeah, you should follow up with them, because I think it would be nice to have the Effect Network line of NFTs graphics that can also be used as profile pictures. And then on top of that, like some sort of rewards for the most active like participants in the DAO, like special graphics. But yeah, like I'm not really artistic, so I can't help too much with it other than say we should do it.
But we have Midjourney and all the other AI generators. Maybe you can like restrict it to a certain like graphic style and generate stuff. Maybe especially for the popes. But no, like definitely let's check with Bree and the team that was working on these icons. That would be really nice to see if that's
Well, because they gems,
that
they
fits.
do. I think they like they do a lot of NFTs themselves, so that's why I mentioned them. So they're pretty familiar with this.
Yeah, I'm sure they can help us generate a couple of layers, and we can use those layers in order to generate a certain art style for ourselves. But that also brings me to the next topic that I also wanted to talk about was like I'm in the middle of redesigning the dashboard right now, and uh, in order to integrate the profile pictures and at the moment, like most of the discussion is happening just in the Slack in private, and I want to bring that whole discussion, like the whole thought process of like what's happening, what design decisions, like what components should be moved where, and kind of move that whole redesign discussion a bit more into the public. Up until now, we've been a bit more private, and then like building something and then publishing an update about it to the community. But I want to open up that whole process, and I was wondering how all of you feel about that.
I mean, I have nothing against it, though. Maybe at most, I don't think you may get too much participation other than me and a few other people, though.
Yeah, I think it's great to share what's going on, David. So that's great, right? But like we should come out with an updated. We just come out with the updated things that we've been working on. As I think that's just and then when it's at a point like this is it, what do you guys think? I think is a nice way to get feedback and improve things. But we made great progress. So it's I'm agreeing with you. We should definitely like share it and maybe put out like you already created like a sort of dummy hosted version, but we can put out like a hosted alternative domain for it so people can see it. already for feedback. But there's still work to be done, I think, before it's like, else the feedback's going to be too obvious, I think, because there's gaping holes in it. So I think we need to like take it one step further and then have it as like an alternative interface ready.
Okay. Yeah. One con of this idea was that there would be too many direct personal opinions about like how it should look like, and that would kind of like suck up a bit time. But yeah, it was more of an idea of how to incorporate the community a bit more in general with what's happening instead of just the GitHub updates channel.
Well, yeah, you could have your, what do you call it? Like, I think they call them development diaries, right?
Yeah, we can do development diaries. We've been up doing more updates lately, and we're gonna do like a weekly update or something, some screenshots.
Just don't make it so
Yeah.
in depth that you feel like you don't want to do it.
Yeah, that's true. Well, there is a lot to share already. So yeah, development diary. I think, but we have this channel, and I think we just want to start using it for weekly screenshot update message from me, David, whoever, Miguel, doing work on it. We can just post just the updates coming through. So that gives opportunity for feedback if people are interested in it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. If there's anything very devy, I'll just post it then into the developer channel.
Cool. Yes, let's do that.
And then, so another topic, you had that you talked with Joshua, right, from the Hivemapper, or rather, he's not the Fast Stream, and they contract for Hivemapper.
Yeah, that is a really interesting project. I think it was nice. So Josh came into the Discord and asked about, because he's obviously used to be from Diffuse and the EOS ecosystem, and now it's streaming fast. They're now doing a bunch of different projects, I think, like they support. But yeah, they are contracted by Hivemapper to do development work and to work on creating basically their labeling platform. And I think it was really nice to see him coming into Discord and everyone responding and coming up with ideas. That's yeah, I think that's really effective way of onboarding, like that just nicely done. And then I did have a extensive conversation with him. I sent them a bunch of numbers and like tips and ideas on how to set up their campaigns. Was actually quite nice, a nice chat. But he did say, like, in this case, I'm not sure if it's going to work out, because he said, I'm just contracted by Hivemapper. I'm pitching your idea to them. They really like what Effect is doing, and they're actually quite excited to work with Effect Network on doing the annotations. But their intention is to do this in-house. So George just stepped. He just reached out to us because out of excitement and because he knew us. But the Hivemapper team, their intention is to do this in-house, and if they're struggling, then they will come to us for at least taking on a chunk of the annotations, because that's their primary concern, and potentially like a real partnership for future integration, which is a different story. But they're right now they're trying out if they can meet their labeling demands, and I'm getting frequent updates from them. So yeah, we have to see how this plays out. It would be a really nice use case. They're in the same like direction of thinking as we are with using crowd annotations and crowd talent to sort of they're doing mapping, so they're having people have these dash cams in their cars and mapping stuff out. But they also have it's like the same decentralized spirit. So I think that's a great match. I really hope they come back to us with the data set to annotate.
Yeah, that would be real nice. And then I think I mentioned to you, like, if even if they want to do everything in house, it'll be cool if, because their main token model is they want to sell the tools, because they're paying people to label stuff and they're paying the honey for people to drive around and take pictures. So like without something in the opposite direction, without a reason for people to buy the honey, it's not very sustainable model, right? So maybe like there's can be some synergy there with building a DApp that takes their data and then uses human workers to analyze it. And yeah, like the one example I mentioned to you is like what if like you could have workers scan roads for potholes, and then once you have enough, like this is a pothole and this is not a pothole, you could build a model that checks every inch of the road, constantly for potholes, and so that way you can maintain roads better, stuff like that. So like a hackathon could
Yeah, we
drop.
could definitely suggest it. I think that's a nice follow up right now, because if they're taking longer now with their own process of annotations, we can suggest something like that. Like let's do an annotation. Like we annotate some data of what they're generating and try to enhance parts of it. So it's an interesting take as well. I think Josh will definitely be open for a chat about it. Yeah, it may be a few weeks from now when they're past this first sort of getting this on the road stage.
Yeah, aside from that, I know, David, I sent you a form to follow up. You sent like an inquiry to Orion Protocol, right?
Ocean Protocol.
Yeah, sorry, I missed. Yeah, Ocean Protocol.
Yeah, indeed. I sent them a request to see if they're willing to participate with the hackathon together, but they said no. But Gabi also got in touch with them apparently, and she had a bit more success. And we're still waiting on. She had a meeting with somebody, and we're still waiting on that update. So it's not a complete no yet, but yeah, like we do have. There's something in the works potentially there.
Okay.
But indeed, like I also mentioned to Joshua that it would be interesting to do a hackathon with them. That would be really interesting combo of like trying to incorporate Effect Network with Hivemapper and with their data needs, and try to get developers to build out projects for all of those specific use cases that come up.
Right, and like the appeal of hackathons, that there can be use cases of which we don't know yet, and then someone can like have an ingenious idea.
Exactly, like it seems like a fun problem to work on, and it can be so niche that you can actually build a working thing within the time allotted.
Yeah, and I think the way it would work is that you could just I looked at their API, and basically you have to apply for it, but yeah, if you can just get like free calls and then have them and then have the competitors just use that data and see what they can do. And then like you could have like a prize for best I guess best Hivemapper standalone project, and best EFX standalone project, and then best both, like that uses both. It's kind of like, remember that AssemblyAI project, like how they had like different categories for like based on like what you used.
Exactly. We are trying to establish partnerships with other projects at the moment. So we do think that's the way forward for now for the next hackathon.
Yeah, I'm hoping we can get some partnerships, and then not only that, like the things being made are something that are mutually beneficial for everyone partnered. So like there's a reason to keep doing it. Like I don't necessarily want to have like a one super big hackathon, because that's kind of how it felt like with the first one, right? We had a good one, and I was like, oh yeah, and then for, was it like, has it been like 2 years now? Yeah, so like it would be nice to just have
Almost, yeah.
have like a consistency like of like something enough to get people participating every like maybe twice a year or something, so we can have like a consistency in like the new dApps being built.
Indeed. Yeah, I think we might have been a bit too we overreached a bit in the first one instead of being consistent about it. That I do think that's a pretty good feedback point.
Yeah, for now, also the idea to collaborate is I think is also great because we can get more. It makes hackathons more fun and more. It gives them a topic and it will give a bit more dynamic elements. I think it's a great way, yeah, to attract also more people. So for next hackathon, we're working on it. I think Gabi has had a few calls this week, or at least one call this week with someone that was interested to partnering on the hackathon. But either Ocean Protocol or Hivemapper or something would be great, like use cases for combining in a hackathon. I think that's a really nice suggestion, and I completely agree that having more consistent hackathons is the goal from now on. So at least 2 a year, and then make sure that we're executing on them professionally and make sure that the results coming out of them are good. Should definitely be the way to go forward.
Right, and like the way Effect Network works is with all of these other protocols, we're not actually in direct competition with them because like we're not, or I guess not yet anyway. Maybe like eventually you'll build it so you can run a script to offer AI services, but I think that's a long ways away. And so like with Ocean Protocol, it's a data marketplace. With Hivemapper, they want to sell their map tools. Like, yeah, hopefully, I wonder if there's other projects like this that we just need to find.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of options, and indeed, we're not competition with any of them. That we're actually a really nice connector when it comes to that. Also, with AI companies, it would be great to have more of them also involved, either creating data sets or integrating a human in the loop in an AI. These were all topics we were just brainstorming a little bit about before. So if the hackathon has a topic like that and we partner with, or if it's like about data, then Ocean Program, if it's about like human in the loop, we could see if there's like a AI provider that we can partner. But it would be really nice to combine it with some more projects.
Yeah, I'm also planning with my Pomelo grant at some point to have all these tasks or rather to have all these NFTs that I've annotated to have workers evaluate them. And I think that would be a really good data set to post on Ocean Protocol and also Kaggle, and maybe even Hugging Face as well. Speaking of which, I know you had your grant, David, for Hugging Face, the tool. Are you going to work on that
Indeed.
once the next season starts?
Yeah, definitely. They want to make a prototype before the next season starts, just to show that like I'm interested in building it and that I can give a bit more of a visual to people, and that I can convey the idea a bit better compared to the previous season.
Yeah, and also you just need to make sure you send it right when the season starts in that little period, because I know you submitted it late, so that alone will help give it an advantage.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't realize how much of a difference that would make, but yeah,
And
you're right.
aside from that, I'll make sure to campaign and make sure to remind everyone that all donations are appreciated. That should help out too.
Indeed. I think I did see an email come by today that I can actually claim the
Oh, you can
Pomelo
claim it now?
rewards. If I'm not mistaken, yeah.
That's great. Yeah, because with my grant, I've been talking with the facings team, and so I think I have a call with them a couple weeks from now to discuss the collection manager and their plugin tool. But aside from that, I'm probably gonna just enhance my demo and make it like more useful. Like you can actually go to the NFT when you find it, and stuff like that. Gonna have to figure out like a full feature list, but so you could basically search for NFTs and also buy them like by going to Atomic Hub with a link and stuff like that. And then like you mentioned, like if I guess like I don't envision. I wonder what the best way to do with it, but like if Effect Network has the like basically a list of valid NFT collections, and then I wonder if I can just integrate that with my demo and pull that, and then so people can search, of the valid collections, like what type of characteristics they want, so they can kind of have more leeway in the type of profile picture they want by like searching characteristics for everything that's okay to use.
Yeah, that sounds great. Sounds like it should be doable.
Sorry, I missed a little bit of that part. Like what characteristics for the profile pictures, or?
Yeah. So like, I don't know if you'll just have it on GitHub or something like because I imagine it'll be programmatic, but it does. I don't necessarily need to do a call to the blockchain. I could just check like some GitHub repo. Really, now that I think about it, just do it manually. It'll be much easier. But yeah. So you said there are collections that DAO members could use for their profile picture, right? And so my demo lets you search all NFTs and find characteristics that you want. So I'm just thinking like I could just have a filter so that you can filter only for Effect DAO capable NFTs, and then you can search for characteristics you want. So you can kind of have like a more like a specialized profile picture for yourself, like based on what you want to see.
Ah, that's amazing. Yeah, that would be cool. So if you could search for, it would be really cool if you could see if they're also for sale on Atomic Hub, so you could actually buy them straight away. But that's maybe more advanced. But it would be great if you could search for matching profile or pictures that you like, and that also sort of match the dimensions and the style of the profile, so you can search in your tool, because the search works great in your demo. So that would be amazing to have as a tool
Yeah,
for
I
DAO
think I can
members.
definitely
I like that.
I can definitely check if it's for sale or not. Like the only it would be tricky for me if I wanted to actually create the marketplace itself, because I don't know how to do that. But I'll definitely can use the Atomic Hub API to check, if it's for sale or not, and then have a link to it, to the listing if it is. And I think that'll be sufficient. Yeah, because I think that would be a very nice feature, because then people could actually, use it to buy things and interact with NFTs instead of just, search images. But that's just because I made it really basic. I think the next fundraising round for this coming season, that'll be my goal, to kind of enhance the demo, make it much more useful.
Indeed, using the Atomic Hub SDK is it's really nice to work with. It's relatively easy. They have a really interesting interface as well for you to test out doing calls with it.
Is there anything else on the agenda?
I don't think so.
The um the agenda going on the blockchain.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I looked up in the Google Sheet form, and I was like, how long have we been doing it this way? And it's crazy. We've been doing this since, what was it, 2021, November of 2021. That's crazy. So we've been doing it for a whole year. And, oh, where did my thing go? Here I am. And I think we had a little bit of a discussion about it yesterday in the team meeting, and we're thinking about figuring a way for on the DAO dashboard people can fill it out and submit, and then a place where you can see what's on the current agenda and then see past agendas. And every time something's added to the agenda, it's posted on the blockchain. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we might as well also have the DAO summaries on there. Now that we have a high guard, we can have like the high guard. Okay, any IPFS post or something.
Yeah.
So it could be like it's similar to the archive I have, just like it will be on IPFS and on the dashboard or something.
Yeah, exactly. We were just thinking it would be a table in the contract, and we would just store it in the IPFS hash, and then there will be a small interface in order for you to be able to submit forms and or attachments like like the transcript and the recording.
Yeah, I think it's a nice idea. It would be great anyways to have it on the on the website. I would like to see like also on the DAO interface. That's something we want to add still before we release it, to have like clearly on the page of the DAO front page, basically, when is the next call coming up, and these are like that you can click on, see the agenda items and and add new agenda items. And I think putting it on chain would be like a really feasible way to do it, because that's how the DAO works. I think every part of the DAO so far is like of the dashboard is sort of decentralized, so it would be nice to have that on chain. I don't think it would make it more hard. So yeah, I'm totally down for trying that out and see if it can replace the Google Sheet, because honestly I know we use it always. I always have trouble finding it, and it's not too transparent for me, the Google Sheet that we have now. So I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I'm
we
for
try
it
to
too.
link it, and
But
I mean it's worked.
It's like a thing that's
you know.
nice. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's nice to have, but I don't know if I prefer the forced updates, right?
Yeah, it's definitely not a priority. It will be a low priority thing to add, but depending on how easy it is and if we can quickly do it or not. But I agree, it's not high on the list of things to make.
Yeah, Google, is centralized, and we're a decentralized DAO and building it out, and it just kind of makes sense that we move away from it being on Google.
Yeah. I definitely.
Cool. I have to jump off in a little bit, guys. I think these were the most important.
Yeah.
It was the last item, right, on the agenda.
Yeah, I think we covered everything.
Indeed.
So,
cool. Then I'm gonna jump off because I have to do a bit more work. But yeah, good call. We'll share updates in Discord, and let's take it from there. Thanks everyone. Thanks DJ. And yeah, speak soon.
All right. See you, everyone.
See you later.